We're coming to the end of this interview, and I'm going to come back and focus on Dr. Manmohan Singh, because I think at the end of the day, the image that remains in everyone's mind of that 10 years of the UPA is Dr. Manmohan Singh. There was a lot that he did that was highly credible. But by the time he demitted office, people remembered him as weak, vacillating, and sadly, clinging to office at the cost of his own dignity. I know you believe that's very unfair. How do you convince this audience it's unfair?
Well, maybe you should take a vote, but in my view, the fundamental proposition that Manmohan Singh was not willing to risk his office is comprehensively disproved by his behavior at the time of negotiating the nuclear deal. I discussed this at length. He was, in fact, Mrs. Gandhi had mentioned to me that he was early on thinking that there's not enough support for me in the party, so why don't I resign and you can choose someone else. And I think he was persuaded, and I was certainly one of the people who took that view, that it would be premature to resign at that stage because you haven't explained to the public why the nuclear deal is important. A year later, a lot of that explanation had been done. The left was still insistent that there shouldn't be a nuclear deal. And, he had taken the view that if the party didn't back him on this, he was going to leave. And as a matter of fact, he won in the sense that he did take the actions needed, risking his government and therefore his own position. Fortunately, Mulayam Singh and his party came in when the left went out, and the government survived.
And won a big mandate thereafter.
And won a big mandate. So therefore, the idea that Manmohan Singh was only clinging to power is simply not true. On things that mattered, where he felt that this is in the nation's interest, I think he took tough decisions. Now, when somebody in your party says something which is a bit embarrassing, that's not an occasion, in my view, to resign, because that looks as if you're resigning out of pique. That how come you, a young fellow, are saying such a thing? And to resign at a point when your party is going into an election, 6 or 7 months later, is really putting them in an impossible position. So I honestly do not think that
the last thing you said actually strikes a chord with me, and I'm interrupting you on purpose. Do you think it ever occurred to Dr. Manmohan Singh? I might want to resign, but we're 6 months away from an election. It will put my party into an impossible position, and he sacrificed himself for the sake of the party.
I can't say. I never tried to probe what his real position was. Actually, anyone who's worked with him, he's a very private person. And you don't misuse your position by misreading and assuming there's something he thinks. You express your views and you hear what he has to say. So I really cannot say what he thought. But I think what was built up here that, he was embarrassing the Prime Minister on foreign soil, that's just rubbish. Nobody abroad bothers whether somebody in your party is taking a different view from you. After all, in the United States, there are many people...
I agree with you completely. If anyone that Rahul Gandhi embarrassed, it was himself. Which, by the way, he's got a fine line in doing. He does it almost every single day.